Tonight's podcast, Lesson 6, Arts and Technology of Ancient Egypt. Please be sure you have pre-read your notes prior to starting the podcast. Remember, you can pause this podcast at any time or review it at any time to ensure accuracy of your notes and information. The arts in ancient Egypt included not just statues and artworks, but their myths and stories that became their literature. One such myth or story is the one about Osiris and how he became a god. Osiris was a great mythical pharaoh of Egypt. Together with his wife Isis, who had magical powers, he helped the country to become peaceful and rich. Osiris had a very jealous brother named Seth. Seth wanted to be pharaoh, so he planned to kill Osiris and take control of Egypt. He had a beautiful chest built to Osiris's exact measurements and challenged people to try to fit the box for size. Whoever fit in the box the best would win. Many people tried, but of course nobody was ever able to fit inside. When Osiris climbed into the chest, surprisingly, he fit perfectly. Seth then slammed the lid shut and nailed it down. He then carried it down to the Nile and watched it drift away. Isis loved her husband and searched far and wide to find him. When Seth discovered Isis was searching for Osiris, he knew he had to find the chest first so his murder would stay a secret. When he found the chest, he opened it and cut Osiris's body into many pieces and scattered them around the four corners of the earth. Isis was able to recover all the pieces and reassemble the body by wrapping them in fine linen bandages. This made Osiris the first mummy. When she was finished, she used her magical powers to heal the body back together and awaken Osiris. Isis was so happy to have her loving husband back. Isis and Osiris had a child together named Horus. Unfortunately, Osiris wouldn't be able to stay with his family. He had to leave this life and go down to the underworld. After that, Osiris was named God of the Underworld and presides over the weighing of the heart ceremony. And this ceremony, everybody must take part in before they can pass into the afterlife. The weighing of the heart determines if people are worthy to enter the afterlife. The heart was placed on a scale, and if it weighed more than a feather, it meant that person lived a life of evil. Suddenly, the evil god Amut would appear and eat the person, and they would cease to exist. And Amut is portrayed with a head of a crocodile, which makes sense because they kind of suddenly sneak up out of the water and attack their prey. If the heart was lighter than the feather, it was because they lived a life that didn't weigh down their heart with guilt. Then they could pass into the underworld. And once in the underworld, they got to do whatever they did in their mortal life only for eternity. So if you were a pharaoh in your mortal life, you were a pharaoh in the afterlife. If you were a slave in your mortal life, you were lucky enough to be a slave in the afterlife. You were just really happy about it. Ancient Egypt was the first great culture to fill its entire society with the magic of music and dance. No celebration in ancient Egypt would have been complete without it. At parties, singers and dancers performed to the music of harps, lutes, drums, flutes, cymbals, clappers, and tambourines. During festivals, crowds chanted and clapped, carried along by the rhythm of musical instruments, while dancers performed amazing feats of leaping, twirling, and bending their bodies in time with the music. The importance of music in daily life in ancient Egypt is highlighted by the large number of musical instruments found in museum collections around the world. Some of these instruments included ivory and bone clappers, harps, flutes, and lutes, and percussion instruments such as drums, citras, and cymbals. Much of the art which has come down to us is funerary art, or art designed for the tomb or funeral. Remember, belief in the afterlife meant everyday and luxury goods, including art objects, to help them enjoy their new life, accompany the dead in their graves. The iconic Egyptian two-dimensional style is found in tombs, temples, and statues. Egyptian statues were carved from stone and rock, as you can see in the picture on the right side, which is of stone rams, or wood as a cheap alternative with paint obtained from mineral ores quarried from surrounding areas. And you can see that in that red face. That's actually a wooden death mask that had been painted. The wall paintings in tombs depict scenes of everyday life. This particular slide is a picture of the inside of a tomb. You can see that the walls and the ceilings and the backdrop are all painted with bright colors. Ancient Egyptian innovations and technologies had an impact on many civilizations to come. Their technologies included the ability to build large construction projects such as pyramids and palaces, simple machines such as ramps and levers, and mathematical symbols which we examined in class. Previous podcasts talked about their written communication and their invention of papyrus. The religious need for mummification led to other inventions, such as a wide variety of medicines and cures. Some of their medicines were quite strange. For example, they used honey and human brains to cure eye infections. They also used a whole cooked mouse to help cure coughs. And to cure indigestion, they were to crush a hog's tooth and put it inside 4 sugar cakes and then eat them for 4 days. Many of their medicines were accompanied by spells to ward off the evil spirits making the person sick. Because of their extensive knowledge of human anatomy, doctors performed surgeries and autopsies to determine a cause of death. Another Egyptian innovation was makeup. All Egyptians wore makeup, even the men. They made a dark eye makeup called kohl from soot and other materials. The makeup was a fashion statement, but it also had the side effect of protecting their skin from the hot desert sun. Not only were ancient Egyptians into makeup, they were also into wigs. The ancient Egyptians, both men and women, were known for hating facial and body hair and used all kinds of shaving implements to get rid of it. You can see in this surviving papyrus, somebody's actually getting their hair shaved. Wigs, which the Egyptians were very fond of, not only allowed for ornate hair decorating, but also helped the Egyptians with cleanliness, protected the scalp from the sun, kept the head cool, and prevented dreaded head lice. This shows an actual wig that was recovered from a tomb. There is archaeological evidence that hair extension and dyes were used in Egypt at least as early as 3400 BCE. Tomb paintings and statues show very elaborate hairstyles. In this particular slide, the mummy on the left is Queen Nefertiti, and you can see she has very elaborate braids, and the mummy on the right is actually Queen Hatshepsut, and her hair was dyed with henna. Because their bread had so much grit and sand in it, the Egyptians had a lot of problems with their teeth. So they invented the toothbrush and toothpaste in an effort to take care of their teeth. They used a wide variety of ingredients to make their toothpaste, including ashes, eggshells, and even ground up ox hooves. They even used donated teeth to replace missing teeth. Games were a part of entertainment in ancient Egypt. Some were for fun and entertainment, and others for fitness. Many of the fitness type games depicted in paintings are of common games such as hockey, which used long palm tree branches for sticks and a puck made from stuffed papyrus in between two pieces of leather. There are also pictures of various types of games that used handballs. Senet is a board game that was very popular among all levels of society. The oldest known representation of Senet is in a painting from the tomb of Hesi from 2686 BCE. During the New Kingdom, the game of Senet had acquired a religious and magical meaning, which symbolized the passage of the deceased through the netherworld, with his resurrection dependent upon his or her ability to win the game. This concludes our final podcast on arts and technology. If you'd like to get some additional information, please feel free to use this link on this slide. It's the British Museum. They have an extensive site, and you can actually play some ancient Egyptian games virtually. Thank you for listening to Nana Productions.